Very good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So I'm not going to wait much today because some students might be thinking that they may know, they may already know what we're discussing today. So I'm not sure how many will be joining. So we can start right away. Few general tips or suggestions. Do not always be under the impression that you know everything. It is in general. It is applicable to me as well as you, anybody, right? So what is the reason for that? Someone cannot fill a container which is already full. If you think that you already know whatever the other person is going to speak, it doesn't go inside. Okay, you don't feel like accepting that. Instead, so at any phase of your life, at any point, you always feel that there is something to learn from the other person. That should be your attitude all the time. Okay, especially this generation students, they feel that everything is available on internet. They know everything. So there is very little that they can learn from others. That should not be the case. That not is not the case actually. Right? So learning, there is no end to it. Whatever we know, even whatever I know, is just a very small bit of what I'm supposed to know, right? So, and that is applicable to everyone. So that is why you never know what is the information that you are going to get from the other person you are interacting with at every point of time. So it doesn't matter whether it is your friend, junior, senior, teacher, so a person who just passes by. So we get to learn from each and every one of them. Okay, so you have to be open minded. So you always have to think that is there anything that I'm going to learn from a conversation? Okay, so that should be the attitude. So if you think that, okay, if I do an activity, it is waste of time. So even if there is something to learn, so you will be in a position where you are not able to make out, right? What is that valuable information that you are supposed to learn? Okay, so that attitude you should get rid of, right? So, I mean, it's got nothing to do with the session that I'm going to take today. In general, so as and when whatever I feel like sharing with you guys, so I just keep sharing. Okay, so these are certain things in general. And okay, what we are going to discuss today is during our entire career, whether it is me or you, especially you guys when you are studying, you end up using Word, Excel, and PowerPoint often. So there are certain features, if we know that, so it makes our life easy. Okay, handling these tools becomes easy. We can make use of this effectively, right? And so I, as usual, I start from the scratch. So if there are certain things which you already know, be patient, just listen. There might be certain things you might know, but I might be doing it in a different way. Okay, so that is an addition, right? So while doing something, you might be knowing an alternative for what I am doing. So I will be more than happy to know those things from you. Okay, so it is mutual. Any session, so any discussion that we're going to have, so both of us will get to learn from each other, right? Okay. So let's start with the Word. So this tool, Microsoft Word, we use it quite often. So it could be just for simple notes taking, or for preparing a report, or for preparing your thesis or notes, whatever it is. We keep using the Word document, the Microsoft Word, quite often. Okay, so now today what I'm going to explain is what are the things that you need to know while preparing a report. Say it could be the progress report that you prepare at the end of every week during internship, or your minor project or major project report, or NEL report, as assignment report, anything for that matter. Okay, so keeping that in mind, so I'm going to explain how to use the Word. Is the Word document visible?
Yes, sir.
Good. So this is how a Word document looks like the moment you open it. So depending upon the version, so it might be slightly different. So but this is how it looks like, right? So at the top, so whatever portion you see here where the mouse is currently being moved, so that is known as ribbon, right? So there are certain uh, options you keep using every now and then. So such options here, whatever you see in the tab, can be added to the ribbon, right? So these might be very basic for few, so it doesn't matter. So now, say this is selection of font. I keep using this often. So what I do is I just right click on that and click on add to quick access toolbar, right? So this is the quick access toolbar. So I want the this option of changing the font. So I just added that. How did I do that? And if you are using a laptop, so I suggest all of you just follow whatever I'm showing along with me, right? So open a Word document. So if you are willing to do that, I don't mind waiting for a minute or two. Whoever is using a laptop, just keep the Word open and start doing it. Should I wait or continue?
Yes, sir, just a minute.
Just let me know as and when you are ready. I was just explaining how to add certain options to the quick access toolbar. What did I do? So I use this font selection option quite often. So there is a downward arrow for the drop down menu. Just right click on that. So you can use the option of add to quick access toolbar. So just because it is already added, now it is disabled, right? So next, I use this often, the size of the font, right? So that also I'm adding to the quick access toolbar. So other than that, there are few other things which I keep using. So for now, I just uh, continue with these two. And the very first thing is the font selection, right? Usually what we suggest is to use Times New Roman or Arial. So now I will be choosing Times New Roman, and usual font can be 12, right? So now the font and size selection is done. Next thing is the margins for the document. So if you just click on the layout, so you get to see the margins. So under the margin, so usually it will be normal under the normal option. So that is the default margin. So which says that the margin on the top left bottom and right are 1 inch each. Okay, so that is the default margin. If you want to change, you can do that. Usually what happens is, especially the reports, when you get it printed, so you need little more space on left side, right? So you can change that by going to custom margins. So here, so I want to increase the margin on the left side. So I just make it 1.5, right? So just look at the position of the cursor here now. So once I click OK, it will just move. So look at this part. So this is the ruler. So it will just get shifted. See, now the ruler came to this position. That means the margin on the left side got increased. So I'm having 1.5 inch on the left side, 1 inch on top, right, and bottom. So this is a usual margin. Of course, in some cases they clearly specify, especially when you take the reports for printing and binding, it is better to have a bigger margin on the left side, right? So this is the first thing. So margin is set, and font is set. I don't use margin that often, so I'm not going to add that to the quick access toolbar. So this is the first. After the once you set the margin, the next thing is, let's say you are writing a report. The very first section is the introduction. Of course, there will be title page, abstract, table of contents. So all those things we shall deal with that at a later stage. Now I just want to start with the body of the report, where I end up starting with the introduction, right? So when it comes to the report, there will be a heading, okay, and subheading, and depending upon the sections, the number of sections in the report, the headings will keep on increasing. Okay, and if you use a particular, if you add these headings and subheadings in a particular manner or fashion, at the end, it becomes easy for you to generate the table of contents for the report. See, what we usually do is, in general, most of the people, what they do is they just type down the entire report. So in order to differentiate between the headings, subheadings, and the content of a section, they just change the size of the font, and they at the end, so they just generate the table of contents by manually typing it down, right? So they type the heading, then subheading, and if there are any subsections in that subheading, they just type it down using tab, and they insert the page number. So the problem with that is, so you think that your report is complete, it is of 5 pages. So you generated the table of contents, meaning you just wrote down or typed down the table of contents manually. At some point of time, or you send it to your teacher or guide, so they will say you need to add one more section, or you need to delete a certain subsection. So in that case, so the number of pages will change, the page number will change, there will be additions of headings, subheadings, subsections. So all those things you have to keep changing manually in table of contents, which is a Herculean task, and it is waste of time, right? So we need to make use of our time as effectively as possible. In order to avoid these things, so there is a particular fashion in which you can add the headings, subheadings, and subsections. When you do that, so you can generate the table of contents just with a click. And if there are any changes, all those changes can be updated. Okay, so what are we talking about? Adding headings, subheadings, and subsections. Okay, so that is known as styles. So if you just come to the home tab here, so there is a section called styles. Okay, so if you see, so there are different styles, that is heading 1, heading 2, and so on. And there is a drop down menu, or if you just click that downward arrow at the corner, So you get to see many headings here, right? So first I start with I choose the style of heading 1, okay, and I start doing it. Okay, so now it is introduction, right? So this is the first heading, okay, and uh, you completed inserting your first heading. You just click enter, so it goes to the next line. So next important point is the line spacing. Usually after a heading or before heading, there will be some space. Okay, how do you do that? The one simple and primitive way of doing it is, instead of clicking enter once, you do it twice. So I just clicked it twice so that there is some gap between the heading and the start of the paragraph, right? So that is the primitive way of doing it, but that is not right. Okay, so what is that? Let me just type down the content for a minute. So let's say I want to add this content to this report. I just copied and pasted. So now see, there is no gap between the heading, the first heading, and the content of that heading, right? One way is just to click enter. So now this is too much space between the introduction and the paragraph. So it doesn't look that nice. Neither this looks nice nor this looks nice. So what some people do is they just try to reduce the font size in this space. So now it says it is 11. So what they do is they just make it 8. See, because of that, if you noticed, the space got reduced, right? So that is a crude or blind way of doing it. So that is not right. So what is the alternative? So I just used undo, that is Control Z. So whatever action that I did, so it reverted back, right? So I take out this enter as well. So here in this uh, home tab, there is something known as paragraph. Okay, in the paragraph, so you just look for this option, line and paragraph spacing, right? So this is an option which I keep using often. So I right click on that, I click that, add to quick access toolbar. So I get it at the top of the ribbon, right? So what is the benefit of this? So say suppose you need an option in the tab references. You have to go to references, then click on that. Okay, or if you want to switch to some other, so come back to design, you click for that. Instead, if you just add that to the quick access toolbar, you get all those options here itself, right? So now irrespective of the tab in which you are there, you can use these options from the ribbon itself. So now I'm talking about line spacing. So if you just click on the down arrow, the downward arrow, so there will be a drop down menu. So these are the line spacings. See, when I just move the cursor on that, so you will see the changes in the text. That means after every line, so how much space you are supposed to leave. So now it is 1, so 1.15, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, like that. You can keep on doing this. And for your entire document, so you should fix a line spacing. Say suppose you are submitting an article to a journal, so they specify what should be the line spacing. Some say it is 1.5. So now what I'm doing is I just selected the line spacing of 1.5. However, so whatever selection that you did, so that is applicable only to this line. Okay, but I want that to be applicable to the entire document. So what I do is I select all the information by clicking Control A, and then so I go to the line spacing options again. So then if you see now there is no arrow besides any of these. So that means the part of the document which you have selected has multiple line spacings. So at one place it is 1.5, at another place it is 1. So that is the reason why there is no tick besides any of this. Now, as a whole for the entire document, I'll be selecting 1.5 line spacing. See now, if you notice, the spacing between each of the lines in the paragraph got changed. So if you go back to the line spacing option, see there is a tick mark besides 1.5, meaning now the entire selection that you have made from this point, introduction till the end, so everything is having a line spacing of 1.5. That's what this arrow indicates, right? So this is one. Because of this, the readability or look got changed and got better. Okay, this is one thing. And along with this, so if you again go back to this option, there are two additional options at the bottom. So there is something known as remove space before paragraph. Okay, so I just click that. That means after every paragraph, so a space will be added automatically if that option is enabled. So now I removed that. Now it turned back to add space before paragraph. Like that, there is an option called add space after paragraph. So now this first line, whatever title you have given, that is considered as a paragraph. So when you go to the next paragraph and when you want to have little space between these two, so you go back to introduction and you click on add space after paragraph. If you noticed, so the space between this title and the paragraph got increased, right? And by default, so there is let me see, see, it's known as points. Okay, by default, when you use the add space after paragraph, so it is 12 points. Okay, it is possible to fix your own space. That means 12 is too much. I don't want 12, so let me reduce that. Okay, so 6 points looks better. Okay, where did I get this from? There is a layout tab. Under the layout tab, so you get to see the customization part of the spacing before and after the paragraphs, right? So spacing, so before, after, I keep using these as well. So that's why I right click on that and add to quick access toolbar. Okay, so this is after. I always stick to specifying the space after the paragraph uniformly throughout the document. So I just add that one, right? So now I fix to 6. So let me just show you that I will make this 0. See, the paragraphs moved upwards. See, when I made it 6, so the paragraph moved downwards by 6 points. So 12, 18. So like this, you can fix the spacing. Okay, so now the moment you place the cursor in this paragraph, so it got changed to 8. That means at the end of this paragraph, the spacing is 8. So I want to keep it uniform. I make that also as 6. Okay, this is about line spacing. So next is alignment, right? So usually the document should be justified, meaning, so on the home tab, these are the alignments. You should always use justified option. So you can click on that. See, the alignment of the text got changed, altered. Okay, this is also something that I keep using often. So I just add that to quick access toolbar, and there is a shortcut for everything that we do. So the shortcut for justification is Control J, right? Okay, now this part is done. So inserting the references, there are already references added in this document. I am not going to spend time on this right now. So we shall come back to that later. So based on whatever we discussed earlier, using Mendeley, this can be done. The same thing can be done using Word as well. And in the last discussion, I told you that I'm going to show that option when we are discussing about Word, but I will explain that little later, right? So now the first heading is done. Under that heading, you just added some text. So now you're done with this paragraph. Then you click enter. So now you need to insert subsections under introduction, right? So let me go back to the report. Let's say I want to create a subsection. Okay, see, this is the subsection, right? So uh, let's say organization of the report is the subsection that I want to create. I just come back to the document. I just paste the content. So now here, what I did is Control C and Control V. This you might be knowing, right? However, when I did that, if you look at the font that is used here, so when I started, it was Times New Roman, but however, after copying and pasting the content, it got changed to Calibri, and now it is 11. So, however, whatever I pasted now, that also I want to be Calibri 11 itself. So when I literally just pasted it using Control V, whatever was there in the other document, so there is a possibility that that formatting may get pasted along with the text. So when you paste, there are different things. One is the content, other one is formatting. So say we want only the content, but not the formatting. Okay, how do you do that? So you have copied the information, you want to paste it. So under Home tab, under the paste, there is a drop down menu. You click on that. See, there are different options here, right? See, it says keep source formatting. That means, so it will retain the format from where you copied the content, right? Next is merge formatting. So that means, so whatever the format that you are using in the current document, so it will get changed to that. The third option is you can paste whatever you copied as a picture. The last is keep text only. So I always prefer to use this option. So irrespective of the format of the source file and the destination file, so I want only the content. So that is why I just used this option of keep text only, right? So when I did that, so there won't be any changes in the format. It will match with the destination formatting, right? Okay, so now I know that this is a subsection. So for the moment, let's take out the numbering. So I know this is a subsection under introduction. So for, if you remember, we used the style heading 1 introduction. Now for this subsection, I use heading 2, right? So now it became, the color and size got changed. So I used heading 2 now. So again, so I click enter, but because of the change in style, the line spacing got changed. See, if I click on this line, so it shows 0. So now I want that to be 6. I will do it 6. Then I click enter. So there is some space in between, right? Fine. So now let me just paste the content under this subsection. So again, I go to the option of paste or keep text only. So again, for that, you can right click on that particular option and click on add to quick access toolbar. So now it appears here, right? Next time you need not come here, so you can just do it from the ribbon itself, right? So now I just use the keep text only option. So when you do that, see, by default, the line spacing is it is not indicating anything because before it is something else, after it is something else. So you can again do this. We earlier we used 1.5, so I did that. So line spacing is, yeah, space after paragraph is 6. I changed that, and you can check whether it is justified or not. So this is the icon for the justified. It is not highlighted. That means it is not justified. Let's do it. Okay. So all these things, whatever I showed you, can be done in one go. Means do not bother about the line spacing, the type of the font, size of the font, titles, all those things. You just develop the content later by selecting everything. Okay, Control A. So I can just fix the type of the font for the entire document. So I want Times New Roman, right? Then I want that to be, okay, now when you do this, uh, you have selected everything in the document. If you specify a certain size, so it gets applicable, so it gets applied to the title, heading and subheading as well. So if you feel that you don't want that, so then you just leave it as it is. So you come back to this part, so you select only the content and you make it 12. Then again you come here, you just make that 12. Okay, and so introduction, the first title you want that to be 16, fine. So the second title you want that to be 14, let's say. So I just make it, I select that and I make it 14. Okay, now this is a differentiation. The first title is 16, the second is 14, and the 12, the font is 12, right? So this is how you can change the size. Okay, I just add one more subheading, and then later we shall see how to generate the table of contents and how is that going to have an impact. So I just come back. Let's say this is already chapter 2. I just want to create that as a subheading under the subsection. So just copy this. Let's so create a next paragraph here. See, in the style section, there is heading 3. So I want to give it a title. Just select heading 3 and you just type down new subsection, right? So now if you just see, it is still under heading 3. Next, click enter, and whatever content you copied, you can just paste that, right? So like this, you can just keep on doing the entire document, and later at the end, you can change the font size and font type for the entire document at once, right? You need not keep on doing that every time, but one last time I'm going to do that. So use the line spacing as 1.5. Do the same for the subheading as well. Then the space after paragraph, I make it 6. I do the same for the paragraph as well. Then justification. So Control J and the font. Okay. So Times New Roman. And this part, I just want that to be 12. Okay, but see, this is also 12, this is also 12. How to differentiate this as a subsection under the first subsection? So what I do is I just do it italicized, right? Just another way of showing that it is a subsection under the subsection. Okay, so this is how you add the headings. So you can do the same for the entire document, and later, so we can generate the table of contents. Let's say now the chapter 1 is complete. So now I want to create chapter 2. So what usually people do is now, uh, only half of the page is consumed. You need to go to the next page. So they just keep on clicking enter until you get the cursor to the next page. But that is not right. Don't do that. Okay. So I'm just using Control Z option. That means undo. The cursor came back to my initial position. Once you know that a chapter is complete, in order to go to the next page, you use the option of inserting page breaks, right? So that is available in the layout section. So come to the layout. So there are breaks. So click on the drop down menu. Here you under this you use section break. Okay, and I use this section break, and I want the cursor to go to the next page, so I use this, and I keep using this often. I right click on this, add to quick access toolbar. Okay, now I just inserted a section break. See, because of that, the cursor moved to the next page. So what is the use of this? Why should you do this? Say suppose you just used enter all the way to make the cursor to go to the next page, and at some point of time in future, if you add any content to the first chapter, whatever enters that you did, say 5, 6, 7 enters, so all that will just get added to the second chapter. Okay, the entire document will move when you add content to an earlier section without using a section break. But now when you use section break, whether you delete a content in the previous section or add content, so that will not affect the starting point of the next chapter, right? So for a minute, I just click Control Z, that means undo. So I have removed the section break that I inserted. Now let me just use the primitive way. So I just keep on clicking enter. Now I reach the second page. I type down here as chapter 2, right? So, and I give it a name to that, let's say literature review. Now, at some point of time later, I feel that I need to add little more information to this section. So what I do is I just add this content. So copy this, come back to this original document, you paste it. Right, see, because of this, initially the cursor was at the beginning of the second page. See, now it moved to somewhere in the middle of the second page, right? So to avoid this, now I repeat the same thing using the section break, right? So just I removed everything that I pasted. So I take out all of this. So my cursor is at the end here. Now I insert a break, right? So now I retype that chapter 2, literature review. Now I go back to this section and add this additional content. Okay, see, now the literature review is at the beginning of the second page. Okay, now I just add this much. See, because of this, it is still at the beginning of the second page, right? The cursor did not move. So this is the benefit of using the section break, right? So let's see, Control Z while pasting, I want to paste only the text. So I pasted this. So because of that, the cursor is still at the beginning of the second page. That means, so whatever changes you make in a section before the current section, that will not affect the page numbers and the positioning of the content. right? That is why you should use section breaks, right? Again, this is chapter 2. So here I want this as, and this becomes the first heading or style heading 1 of the second chapter. So I go back, I change it to style heading 1. Okay, so under this you add the content, you add the content, then create one more section. Again, I just want so now let us say the methods is the subsection that I want to have in the literature study. I just typed it down and I made it as heading 2, right? So again, under heading 2, I just want to add a little more content. So I just did that. Okay, so Control J is the shortcut for justification, and for line spacing, Control 5. If you just click Control 5, the line spacing gets automatically changed to 1.5 line spacing, right? Control 1 is for single line spacing, Control 5 is for 1.5 line spacing, and so on, right? So again, I do justification here and Control 5, so line spacing got increased or changed. So all this I want to be times New Roman. Okay, done. So now 2 chapters are ready. Okay, I just okay, with this we can generate the content. I mean table of contents. That should not be a problem. So come back to a place where you want to generate the table of content. Say it is before this section, let's say. So I place the cursor at before the introduction. Now I come back to the references tab. Okay, so under the references tab, there is a section called table of content. So here, if you go to the drop down menu, there are different styles. Okay, so this is style 1, style 2, style 3. So in the under this, I just go with the first automatic table style 1. I click that. So because of that, see the contents table generated automatically. So introduction is the first heading. So it is on page 1. Under that, there is a subsection. So that is again on page 1. So now there is one more subsection under the subsection 1. All these things are indicated by a tab. So this got generated automatically. So then literature review is the second chapter, and methods is the first subsection under the second chapter. All these things got inserted automatically, right? So let's say, let us add some more content, and so that the page numbers have changed, and let's see how that gets updated automatically. Okay, so now I want to add some content under the introduction. So it doesn't matter what I add, so just pick some content and add it. Right, see, because of that, the organization of the thesis, which is the first subsection under chapter 1, moved to page 2. Right, let's go back to the table. So now nothing is visible here because we have not updated the contents table yet. So now you just click on the contents at the top. The moment you do that, see there is a pop-up known as update table. You just click on that. So here it is asking whether you need to update only the page numbers or the entire table. So what is the difference between this? Now you have not created new sections or subsections or chapters. So only the page number need to be updated. So you can use option 1. Sometimes what happens is you add a new chapter, you delete a chapter, you add subsections. In that case, you want the entire table to get updated. So then you can use this option too. So irrespective of what you did, you can always go with update entire table. So I click that. See, because of that, the page number got changed. See, the organization of the thesis went to second page, the literature review went to the third page. Right? See, this saves lot of time and energy. Okay, so imagine just this one part itself took 45 hours, 45 minutes for me to explain. Like this, there are hundreds of things which you need to know. So whenever time permits, we can do that. But however, I just would like to show a few more things today with respect to Word itself, right? So what are the next things that you end up using quite often? So that is, I want to insert a picture, right? So I want to do that in chapter 1 under the subsection 1. So this is the place where I want to insert the picture. So how to do that? So let's go back to the source document. Say I want to insert this picture, right? So I just copied there. Again, when it comes to copying and pasting, there is a paste special option, right? So especially when you're pasting images, graphs, and so on, you do not literally copy and paste the content, right? Always use. So now the information is copied. I want to paste it. See, under the paste, there is a drop down menu. When I click that, so these are the options that you get to see. So you go to paste special, right? Under this paste special, when it is an image, you always use enhanced meta file. Okay, you want to paste it as a picture and use the option of enhanced meta file. Okay, so I did that. Now the picture got pasted. What is the reason for using enhanced meta file? Sometimes you are inserting photographs. Okay, you just have taken it from your mobile phone at a very high resolution. Say it is the size of the picture is 8 megabytes, so 8 MB. So if you just copy and paste it, so all that content of 8 megabytes get pasted in your document. And if you insert 10 such images, so the size of your Word doc will become 80 MB. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense. Handling becomes very difficult. Your computer will become slow. So it takes a lot of time to process any information inside that document. So you have to avoid that. How to do that? So this is the option. You just use the option of enhanced meta file. Okay, paste special, and under paste special, you select enhanced meta file. Because of that, it gets pasted in a different format, which reduces the size of the image drastically. Okay, so your quality won't get affected. So the size of the image is reduced, so the documents become lighter. Okay, so now I inserted the picture. Okay, and always the pictures should be aligned in the middle of the document. Use center alignment, right? So I have made the center alignment. Now there is an option of inserting captions for the pictures and tables. Okay, so why should you use that option? If you use that option, you can generate the table of pictures, table of figures, and uh, the in the content table, list of figures and list of tables can be generated in the table of contents automatically, the way you generated the table of contents. For that purpose, you need to use the insert caption option. So let's see what is that. Now the image is pasted. So select that image, right click on that. Here, look for insert caption, right? So there are few default options. You can just go with it for now. So this is the first figure that you are inserting. So the default caption is figure 1. I just am okay with it. So I just would like to add a caption. So what is the cap? Okay, just a moment. So what is the caption here? It says something. I just want to use the same thing as it is. So come back to the original document, go to insert caption. So figure one, whatever I copied, I just pasted it and I'm clicking OK. So now the caption for this figure got inserted, right? Okay. So likewise, let's add a table. So I would like to add a table. See, because of this, uh, the content moved to the next page and your second chapter still is starting in a new page only. So it is not as a continuation. Okay, these are the benefits of using section break. Now I would like to add a table under literature review. Okay, so let me go to the source. Let me go to the source file. Let me just find the table. Okay, anyways, so if there is no table here, let me just insert. Well, while coming to inserting a table, there is a shortcut that is Alt NT. Okay, when you do that, so the table menu will pop up. So here you can select the size of the table. Say you would like to have 4 columns and 3 rows, for example. Okay, I just did that. So what is the shortcut? Alt NT. Okay, so the table gets inserted. So now I would say this is column 1, then column 2, 3, 4. So like this, let's say row 1, row 2. So instead of filling content, I'm just showing you something. So this is just an example. Now the table is complete. For this table also, you are supposed to insert the caption. Okay, usually for figures, inserting the caption will be below, and for the table, the caption should go above the table, before the table, right? So select the table, right click, you there is an option of insert caption here. You go to that. So by default in this window, it shows as figure. You have to change that label to table. So there is a label, you just click that and make it as table. So now the document already knows that this is the first table that you're inserting in this document. By default, the caption became table 1. Okay, so a new table is the caption for that. Let's say, for example, so I just click that. See, the caption got inserted at the top, right? So this is how you create a table and add the caption to it. Now positioning of the table and so on. So there are a few certain things that you need to know. So select the table. So right click here. So here there is something known as auto fit. Okay. Under this, you can arrange the table for auto fit to contents, auto fit to window, and fixed column width. These options will come handy when you want to fix the size of the table. Sometimes uh, by default, so all the columns have the same width, right? So here you do not really want this much space in column 1. Okay, however, so this says uh, big title for column 1. See, for instance, there is a very big title, and because of that, it got shifted to the second line. But however, there is a lot of unwanted space in the remaining columns. So I want to just adjust that. So select the table, right click on it, go to AutoFit, and you click on AutoFit to contents. See, so the width of the columns got adjusted, right? See, row 1 on the column 1 is small, column 2 is wide. So like this. And again, you can select the entire table and you can just do the center alignment by clicking Control E. The shortcut for center alignment is Control E. Okay, now the table is at the middle. The width of the column got adjusted according to the content, right? So this is about the table. Now let's see how to generate the list of figures and the list of table that we inserted. So again, I want that to be after the table of contents. So I just go back to the references. See, insert table of figures, right? So under the captions, so there is insert table of figures. So I click that. See here, again, there is a style that you can choose. I just go with the default style. I just click OK. See, so now this is a table. This is the list of tables, right? So like that, I want to do the list of figures as well. See here under the caption label, I select figure. So I just do that. I inserted the list of figures now. Okay, like this, if you add or delete figures, so automatically those things get updated. Again, come to the table. So you can right click on it. You can click on update field. So if there are any changes, that gets updated automatically. This is about so insertion of figures and tables and generating the list of figures and tables automatically. Okay, there is one more thing. So now whatever figure you have inserted, it should use whatever figures tables that you insert in a report that should be used or referred in the text of the report. Okay, now I inserted figure 1 here. So I should refer to that figure somewhere. So let's say this is the place where I want to add that sentence. So figure 1 depicts the microbial fuel cell, for example, right? This is what you usually do. So when you do this, what happens is, so you again same story, you added few figures, removed few figures. Because of that, you don't know where was it referred in the text, and you have to search for it manually. In that process, you tend not to identify few, and that leads to errors and mistakes. So the entire report might go misleading. So that is why instead of typing it down as figure 1, so wherever you want to refer to that figure, so you place the cursor there and come to the references tab. There is something known as cross reference under the captions. Click on cross reference. The moment you do that, a new table will pop up. So here under the reference type, you just select the figure, right? So once you do that, all the figures that you inserted using insert caption option get listed here. So there is one more option here besides whether you want to insert the entire caption or only the label and number. Usually the preferred format is inserting label and number. I select that and I click insert. See, now this figure 1 got inserted through cross referencing. And because of this, if you add or delete figures, uh, these things get updated automatically. So how do you do that? Go to that place, click on right click and click update field. For the entire report, you can just uh, select all, and you come here to the content table, then, or say you select all, and wherever you see this update field option, you can just click that. So everything gets updated automatically, right? So in the entire document, wherever you use cross-referencing, those things will also get updated, and the table of contents, table of figures, everything gets updated, okay, just with one click. Now this is what you're supposed to do while referring to the figures. Do the same thing for the table as well. So where did you insert the table? So say this is the place where you speak about table 1. So again, go to cross reference. So here, instead of figure, you select table. All the tables that were inserted using insert option are listed here. So I don't want the entire caption, only the label and number. Do the insert. Okay, close. So table 1 is a new table, right? So this is how you should refer to the tables and figures in your document, right? Okay, so this is about Word. Of course, there are many more things that are required. So using equations itself is something big. So we can discuss that at some other time. But this is in brief that you need to know while making the reports. So I'm sure that this is going to be very helpful for you. This saves a lot of time, right? It saves a lot of time and energy. Okay, so non-stop talking for one long hour. So let's just take a break of 5 minutes. So let me just drink a glass of water and come back. So let's continue the discussion about excellent PowerPoint for just 30 more minutes. Of course, see, every software is an option. There are many things that we can learn from this. So just let me know whether you are still willing to or in a position to listen to me for 30 more minutes for excellent PowerPoint. If you say, no, sir, this is enough for today, I'll stop here. If you still have the energy and patience to listen, so I will continue. Just let me know. Can I continue or stop here?
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay, is that the same for all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So let's take a short break of 5 minutes. So it's 3 past 11 now. So we shall start at 8 past 11. Okay, so shall we start? So what I feel is instead of switching to Word and sorry Excel and PowerPoint at this point itself, so there are just few more things with respect to what I'll just let me just finish it, and we shall do the Excel and PowerPoint some other time, right? So there is no point in just spending 5 or 10 minutes on Excel and 10 minutes on PowerPoint. So I can't explain anything with that duration. So instead, let me just add little more information in the word itself, right? So next is insertion of equations. Okay, so let's say here I want to insert an equation. So how to do that? I just show you what is the equation that I am willing to insert. So this is the equation that I want to insert, right? So what are the options for it?
Share your screen.
Oh, okay, sorry, we'll do that. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So see, it's the continuation of the same document. Under this section methods, I want to insert the equation. This is the one which I want to insert. So for the purpose of showing it to you, I have just copied it from some other place and I have inserted. Now let's see how to insert the same thing, right? So here in the insert tab, so there is something known as insert equation, right? So if you go to the drop down menu, so there are few default equations that you can insert, but instead what I do is I just go with the insert new equation, right? So you get a new placeholder like this. So the same thing, instead of going to this insert tab and then equation and selecting new equation, the shortcut key for that is so control see just a minute, alt equals, right? So you just press and hold alt and press equals. So with that the new equation just get inserted, right? So now I just want to insert that equation. So say capital D. Now I want subscript, right? So one option is, so you have to go to the equation tab, then you select the scripts here, the superscript, subscript, okay. Then you have to click, select subscript. So you just add D here, then B here. So this is what you usually do, right? So which is very time consuming. So we have shortcuts for all of this, right? So what are these? Let's say I want to insert the equation, use alt equals. So the placeholder came. So now D. So for the subscript, so it is underscore B, right? So if you just type underscore and B and click space, press space, the subscript is inserted, right? So next, so equals, then I want D not D underscore not, okay. So space, so not got inserted. So now this part. So nt by k1 raised to the power of 1 by n1. All these things you can do without even touching the mouse, right? So I opened the brackets. So now n underscore t. So I got nt. Now I want to insert k1. So forward slash. So k underscore 1. So now k subscript 1 is done. I press the equals once again. Now see that nt by k1 got inserted. So I repeat. So what did we do? We want to insert nt by k1. So open the brackets. So it doesn't matter whether it is small bracket or bigger one, whichever you want, you can do that. So I'll show you the big bracket as well. So NT is now N underscore T. So if you just click space, so that subscript will appear. Then see, now I want the K1 exactly below the NT, right? For that, what I did is I used forward slash and now K underscore 1. If I press equals once, I mean press space once, so the K underscore 1 is done. I mean K subscript 1 is done. When I press the space once again, see the positioning of NT and K1 got changed, right? So now I close the bracket. Again I press space. So now the size of the bracket got increased, right? So now I want to uh, raise this entire term to the power of 1 by n1. So what is it for power? So it is this cap which is there on the number 6 on your keyboard, right? So use that hat or cap. So that is the symbol that you use for raising something to the power of, right? I used that. Then I want 1 by n1. See, open the bracket, 1 forward slash n underscore 1 space. So it became n subscript 1. Then one more space. So it became 1 by n1. Close the brackets. So you click space, it just gets raised to the power of the term nt by k1. Okay, so this is how you insert the equation without touching your mouse. So for everything there are shortcuts. Of course, these things you can learn only by experience. So what are the shortcuts? Those things you need to know and you need to remember that. That happens only by practice and how often you use it, right? So say suppose I want to insert alpha. So I just use forward slash al alpha. See, the alpha got inserted. Sorry, just a minute, just a minute. It's not forward slash, it is backward slash, right? Backward slash alpha. So now the symbol alpha got inserted. So now I want to insert beta. So backward slash beta. So beta got inserted. See, like this, there are shortcuts for anything and everything. Okay, if you know that, your life becomes very easy. Okay, so look at these equations. They look very professional, and this is how you need to insert the equations, right? Okay, and you can insert the entire matrix as well. Okay, uh, again there are shortcuts for all of this, so that you need to explore and learn. So based on your requirement, you can do that. So now one more thing is, this is in the uh, equations for superscript and subscript. So subscript it is underscore and superscript it is the hat. So now how to do the superscript and subscript without inserting an equation, right? So in the text, I want to do the same thing. So this is dB. Okay, so I want to do this. Is the diameter, let us say, right? So one way is go back to the B, select it, then you press and hold the control and press the uh, just a minute, plus button, right? Control plus, right? So automatically it became the subscript. And if you did notice, so there are buttons for subscript and superscript here that got enabled here in the home tab. I just do Control Z. See now, so this is not highlighted. So I selected the content I want to do the subscript. I do that with Control plus. Okay, automatically this subscript got enabled here, got highlighted. Okay, so how to do the superscript? So say R square. Okay, is the new term. Say now I want to raise this 2 to the power of r. So that is Control Shift plus, right? So select the content, Control Shift plus. Okay, that is to superscript. Okay, so as soon as I did that, see the superscript option got highlighted here. Okay, so these are few shortcuts. Then you want to increase or decrease the font size. So you select the content, whichever you want to increase or decrease the size of the font. Then press and hold the control, and this close and open big brackets are there, right? So besides the letter P on the keyboard, the brackets are there. So opening brackets and closing brackets. So with control, if you just click on increasing the close bracket, so the size is getting increased. So if you click on the open bracket, then size gets reduced. Okay, so these are some of the shortcuts. Of course, there is no end to this, so it's an ocean. So, but depending upon your need, so if you are enthusiastic to learn these things, if you learn this, it will be very helpful to you. It makes your life easy and simple. Okay, so did you find this useful?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many of you knew this before? What is that you knew? What are the new things that you learned? So this is for all of you. Feel free, you should speak.
So the generation of table of contents was new. I never knew about that.
And other things, so superscript, subscript, insertion of equations, captioning, cross-referencing.
I knew about that equation part of it, sir.
Okay, using the shortcuts for alpha, that is /alpha.
Not the shortcuts. I
Okay.
used to use the buttons over there.
Insert equations. Okay, and cross-referencing.
No, sir, I didn't know about that.
Okay, good. So anybody, who, anyone else, what is that you knew and what are the new things that you learned today?
With the shortcuts and cross-referencing you mentioned, and also the generation of table of contents and list of figures, all those things.
Okay, good. Yeah, and others? So quick access toolbar, cross-referencing. Okay, good. Fine. So any questions? So like
When
this,
can we learn the shortcuts of also like Excel and PowerPoint, because it will be very helpful for us.
yes, I know. And as I told you, one software itself is an ocean. So there is no end to it. Let's find time for that some other time. I'll just arrange a session for those. And I don't mind explaining those as well. And there are a few certain things, especially when it comes to presentation, which you need to follow to improve the aesthetics of the presentation, to make it look better, feel better. And of course, there are plenty of options how to insert the figures, positioning, animations, and so on. So whenever time permits, I'll just organize those sessions as well. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Okay, so if no more questions, so thanks for your time and attention. And again, today I try to organize a few more meetings on topic specific discussions. Yesterday I had for few topics, so today I'll have for other few topics, and I'll let you know. I give you the brief introduction and what you are supposed to do. So all those things I'll arrange. So just bear with me during this 1 or 2 days where you will be reminded of the meetings with a short notice. Later, I just streamline all those things. So you will get an email well in advance, and all those things get added to your calendar, and so that you get reminders as well. So that we shall do it at a later part. So just today and tomorrow. So I will just send the information to join the meeting. Just a few minutes before the meeting, kindly bear with me. If no more questions, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.